Hey, you 12s, welcome back to our last video for Unit 3, Area Study 1. Looking forward to it. All right, so we're looking at ethical implications and considerations of gene technology. So pretty much we look at GMOs and what ethics surround them. Okay, so we're up to the last dot point, obviously. Continuing on with ethics. So we have ethical implications. Okay, so there's three types of ethical implications. You have your social implications, so anything essentially affecting other people. Okay. So socially, increased food supply, nutritional content, and food quality helps people. Expanded range for growth of agricultural species helps people. Access to technology, social equality, inequality can help or hinder people. All right. Labeling and consumer choice of genetically modified organisms can help people or hinder people. Patents and pricing control of access by biotechnology companies, so that can really hinder people. And cost to farmers, that can either help them or they can hinder them. All right, that's just some of the examples. There's obviously more social implications for things like genetically modified organisms. It's a very complex and multifactorial thing we're looking at here with ethics. We have biological implications. So safety of consuming GMOs, will it affect people? Cross-pollination between GM plants and wild plants. Will it affect other organisms? All right. Cross-pollination between GM and non-GM crops. Will it affect other crops people are growing? All right. Obviously, we know there's a big issue with monocrop agriculture. So if it's monocrop GM crops, and then that can cross-pollinate with wild plants, that's not good. Viability of transgenic organisms in the wild. All right. Do they just take over the environment? Do they destroy everything? Health of GMOs. Okay. And loss of genetic diversity in species used in agriculture. So again, monocrop agriculture, you're never growing anything else but the GM, like fruit, for example. Last one, ethical implications. We have violation of animal rights. Is it suffering just so you get a nicer tasting burger or whatever, or more meat? Human self-interest overrides ethical treatment of other organisms. Again, you get more meat and more money from selling the meat, but is it worth it if the cow's suffering? And intervention in evolutionary process. Are you messing with evolution? Obviously, yes, but you're not going to mess too much with evolution. That's what we're looking at here. Okay. Cool. So we just looked at those there. So we have two major ethical considerations to consider as well. All right, and these are your important ones that VCAR always harp on. So you have your approaches and you have your ethical concepts. You need to know the difference between the approaches and the concepts here. So let's look at the approaches first. There's three different types of approaches, and you will want to know what these are. So consequence-based approach. Look at the consequences of this investigation or technology. So what is the consequences of creating a GM organism? And that could be any consequence on organisms, on people, on food availability, whatever it is. What's the consequence? All right, duty or rule-based. Consider the obligations you have to others or stakeholders. So that's looking at the rules around creating GMOs and how people will try and skirt those rules or, will follow those rules. And then lastly, virtue-based. Consider your morals when planning or running a practical investigation. So if you were to create a GM crop, for example, consider your moral obligations. Are you ruining the life of that organism? Are you only using it for your own gain, etc., etc.? All right, then we have the ethical concepts, which are very important too, and these are likely to come up in an exam. All right, so you've got to know the 5 of these as well. Although these are a little bit easier to remember, so we'll get into it. So first one, integrity. So honesty with releasing results. If you make a scientific experiment or a GM crop, for example, what actually happened. Be honest and tell everyone what actually happened, because people often lie about their results and stuff like that. Explaining the benefits of potentially making a GM crop or the drawbacks, so things that have gone wrong. All right. Often people just forget this and lots of benefits, but we forgot the drawbacks, which often can be detrimental. So that's integrity. We have justice, access for all. It's fair and available. Can all farmers access a GM crop? Are the seeds extremely high priced because the company creating the seeds have made them that way. Is it fair? So justice. Beneficence as well. This is probably the easiest one to remember because it's literally the word beneficial. Hence, beneficence. All right, maximizing the benefits of making the GMO. All right, is there lots of benefits of having the GMO? You know, golden rice, that is definitely an example of beneficence because, okay, it's not just people get more vitamin A, it's that children don't get blindness, okay, just from changing some, some genes and proteins within the rice. Non-maleficence, right, that's kind of the opposite of beneficence. So minimizing harm as much as you can while producing the GMO itself. Again, this is kind of the mantra of all of medicine. All right, first, do not harm. Okay, do no harm. So again, non-maleficence, not being, a blight on the world, being a light on the world. All right, and lastly, respect. Treating subjects with consideration. Obviously, if you're doing an experiment on someone or an organism or, a cow and you're making that a GM cow, are you just treating them with respect? For example, if it's a person, gaining consent, or obviously confidentiality of results or identity, and then privacy. Okay, so respect. Alrighty. Quick meme of advice for you. It's time for your sack, guys. Alright, so as you can see, we're at High Vale Secondary College here. We've got a student in the library, and they're reading their book on how to get good grades. Alright, the only word in the book is just study. As you can see, this kid here wearing his hat at lunchtime, he's having a sook because he doesn't want to study. Alright, don't let that be you. Good luck for your SAC preparation. Come and ask me if you need any questions answered, and otherwise watch my videos repeatedly. Like, comment, subscribe. Bye bye.